Welcome to the Black Entrepreneur Experience podcast, inside the business, buzz, and brilliance of Black entrepreneurs. Here is your host, Dr. Frances Richards.
What happens in Vegas goes all over the world on Black Entrepreneur Experience episode number 214. Thank you for joining us as we elevate the Black Entrepreneur Experience by interviewing CEOs, thought leaders, innovative thinkers, and Black entrepreneurs across the globe. I'm your host, Dr. Frances Richards. Owner of a content management agency, Varci Media, we have Shondell Varcianna. Welcome, Shondell.
Thank you so much for having me.
I've given our audience such a brief bio. Why don't you fill in the gaps and share with our audience what you'd like them to know about you and your company?
Sure. I own a company called Varci Media, and we write content for financial institutions, for banks, credit unions, and mortgage companies. And I kind of fell into the business. It wasn't really, I'm originally from Canada. I was born and raised in Toronto. I've worked with financial institutions since I was 18, right out of high school, worked my way up and left one of the oldest banks in Canada and then started working for a company called Canada Mortgage and Housing Corporation. They're similar to PMI here in the US. And while I was there, I had a couple properties that I had, a house that I was living in and a rental property. And I paid off both of those mortgages in a fairly short period of time. And I told a couple girlfriends, and one of them suggested that I help other people to do the same thing. And I thought, well, that's a great idea, but I didn't know how to do that. And she said I should start blogging. Now, I didn't even know what blogging was. I didn't know, I was just not part of that world, so I wasn't familiar with it. And I thought that sounded intriguing. So I taught myself how to create a website. And over time, my blog started to get popular. And I was part of that whole personal finance community. And magazines started to contact me and radio stations started to contact me at that point, just wanting to hear my story. And that led to me working with a lady by the name of Gail Vaz-Oxlade. She's the Susie Orman, but of Canada, just to make it easier. And while I was working for her, companies started to contact me wanting me to write for them. And that's really how the business was born. I still had my full-time job at the time, so I couldn't manage all of the work that I was getting. So my husband suggested that I hire some writers. And I thought, well, that's a great idea. And I didn't think I was really a good writer anyways, because my field of study is not writing, journalism, nothing like that. It's marketing and business. And that's what I enjoyed. That's what I liked. So I thought, I could get some writers that are better than me and who love doing that and then just manage it on a higher level. And that's really what I did. And then moved the business to Atlanta, Georgia, which is where I live right now, simply because I just absolutely love the city. But that's how the business was born. That's how, Varci Media came to be.
And how long ago was that?
Years. We've been living here for 6 years. The writing I started, I paid off the mortgages in 2011, December 2011, the last mortgage I paid off. Right. So I would say I started blogging around 2012. And I was blogging for free. I wasn't getting paid when I started my own blog. So I was blogging for a couple of years before before companies started contacting me wanting me to write for them and pay me to do that. So that I started it in 2012, the blog. And then like the end of 2013 was when I actually turned it into a business and then moved here 2014.
Give us some value bombs around paying off your mortgage.
Yeah, so I was relentless in terms of just wanting to get rid of it. And I come from the industry, so I knew a lot of the little things that you needed to do, just little things like bi-week. So Canada is a little bit different than here. But what I did was I increased my payments every single year by 20%. They allow you to increase your payments by 20% every single year. So I did that. And I made additional payments on my mortgage every single year. And then I also did bi-weekly payments. What bi-weekly payments does is it allows you to pay 2 extra payments per year based on the 26-week cycle of you paying your mortgage payment. And the more you pay off, like when I was increasing the payments, when I was making the additional payments, all of that goes to principal. So over time, if you keep on doing that, that doesn't even hit interest. What the interest is usually taken out of your payments, not the additional payments you make. So I just did that over a period of time. And what I did before I even started tackling the mortgages was I got rid of all debt. So all credit card debt, car loan debt, I got rid of all of that. So all of the money could go towards the mortgage, which allowed me to pay it off a lot faster.
Do you still own the properties in Canada?
I have quite a few properties in Canada now, but the property that I own, I only own one of the ones that I've paid off out of the 2 that I first talked about, but I've bought investment properties since then. So my husband and I have quite a few properties still in Canada. but just one of the original that started this whole journey.
And talk about the decision or the story around when you did your day quit or decided not to go back to work.
So when I was working, my dream was always to work for the Canadian government. Like since I was a kid, I've always had that dream because the benefits are good. They treat the employees good. So my dream was always to do that. And the company that I worked for, my last corporate job, which was Canada Mortgage and Housing Corporation, that was part of the Canadian federal government. And I loved it. It was the best job I ever had. The pay was good. They paid for my car. I worked from home. I got everything for free. I got to travel Canada, ate for free, went to the best restaurants, best hotels. It was a dream job, but I wasn't fulfilled. That was the disconnect. It was great, but I wasn't happy. And I didn't know what happiness looked like, and I didn't know what fulfillment looked like outside of working for a company. That's where I always felt stuck, but I didn't know how to get out of that. And it wasn't until, as I was mentioning, I paid off the mortgages and my girlfriend suggested the blogging, I was exposed to a whole other world that I didn't even know you could make money doing. And I also, in Canada is a lot different than here in Atlanta. In Canada, it's run by a lot of large corporations. So the average person gets a job, stays there for 20 to 30 years, and then retires. So I was never really exposed to business owners until I traveled to Atlanta and saw a lot of people. You know, here it's run by small businesses. So it was really, really different. So when I was exposed to that world of, you know, being a business owner and growing your own business, I liked it. I didn't even know that type of world existed because I wasn't exposed to it. So as I started blogging and started hiring writers and started to grow the business, you know, eventually the business was just bringing in more money than my full-time job. So I knew that I had something here and I no longer really needed the job because at that point I didn't really have any debt because I had paid off the mortgages. So this was money coming in from my full-time job, plus I had my business. And at that point I was dating my husband. So that's another income. And he had several businesses. So we were doing okay where I felt comfortable that I could let go of the dream job because I was no longer fulfilled. And then I could just devote all of my time to Varci Media. And something else that happened, which kind of forced me to quit was, so at the same time we were trying to move to Atlanta and we were trying to get pregnant. So there was a lot of things happening right at that moment. And we were not getting pregnant. We were just trying and we were not getting pregnant and I couldn't figure out why. And I was just frustrated because, you know, I just married my dream guy and we're trying to have a baby and it's not happening. And I knew that one of the reasons why I wasn't getting pregnant was because I was too stressed because I was still working my full-time job. And that job that I had, like I was managing over 150 accounts for the government. Like I was so busy. And then in the evenings, I was pretty much running my business and trying to manage a team of people. And on the weekend, so it was just chaotic. And I knew that I had to let one go in order for us to conceive. I felt it, I knew it, but it was hard to do that. And at that same time, we were trying to move to the US. So we had an interview at the US consulate. It's a whole process you have to go through to move here, but we had an interview at the US consulate. And right after that interview, we found out that we were going to be able to move to the US and you know, live here and work here. And on our drive home, so we're ecstatic because something else I didn't mention, I've wanted to live in Atlanta for 13 years prior to moving, and I've tried so many things and nothing worked. So when we finally got the yes that we were going to move, I was just so happy. On our drive home from the US consulate, I realized that I hadn't had my period in like 2-3 weeks, and I never miss it. I wish it wouldn't come back, but I never miss it. So we stop at Walmart and we get a pregnancy test. We find out we're pregnant. Now, we had tried for a year and a half up to that point to try to get pregnant. So we found out we were moving to the US and that we were pregnant on the exact same day. So that was the wake up call to say, all right, you got to quit your job at this point. And that's what I did. I quit my job. And then a month later, we moved to Atlanta. But that's how it all kind of played out.
So is your husband Canadian or is he a US citizen or how does that work?
My husband's lived in 3 countries. He was born in Jamaica and to Canada when he was 18. And then we met in Canada. And then we both moved here. So he's actually still a citizen of Jamaica and Canada. He's got dual for Jamaican and Canada. So we're not citizens of the U.S. My kids are though. My 2 children were born here.
Thank you for sharing that. Talk about your ideal client, Shondell. Who is your ideal client?
Ideal client is a marketing director that their responsibility, or a marketing director in a bank, and their responsibility is to grow the business of the bank that they work at. And they need to grow that digitally because a lot of banks are very old school in terms of how they market. So they need to grow it digitally and they know that they need to create content, but they don't have enough staff to create content and they don't have the time to create content. So they're looking for the help. That's our ideal client.
And what can we do right now to support your business?
Well, if you know anyone that needs help with content that works inside of a financial institution, a credit union, a bank, or mortgage company, and they do need help with content, they could definitely reach out. And even if they don't want to be one of our clients, we have a free information on our website, varcimedia.com. I just wrote a book as well, so that should be on our website in the next few weeks. So we are very transparent and give out a lot of information. So if you want to do it yourself, you can. And if you don't have the time or don't want to do it yourself, you can hire us and we can do it for you.
What are you most grateful for right now in your life?
I am grateful for the people in my life. I'm grateful for my family. I'm grateful for my friends. I'm grateful that I'm alive and healthy. I mean, we're in a pandemic right now. There's many people suffering. So the fact that I woke up this morning, that's enough to be grateful for.
Speaking of the pandemic, and I know you said your business was online, did you have to shift with the pandemic in your company?
No, we've always been online. No, we haven't had to shift in terms of staff, in terms of everybody works from home anyways. They've always have. We've had to shift in terms of our messaging just to be a little bit more sensitive to what's happening in the pandemic, but not the company overall hasn't make many adjustments.
There are so many brands and businesses that are dominating. Share a business or a brand that is dominating that you admire and why.
Amazon, because they are continuously innovating. I'm so impressed with them. I love Amazon. I don't have anything negative to say about Amazon. I absolutely love them. I love that they're coming out with the delivery drones. They're just so ahead of their time. I like the fact that you can have a personal shopper for $5 a month, and they'll send you clothes that you like, and then they'll ship them to your house. You can try them on and send it back for free if you don't like it. I mean, it's hard for retailers to compete with Amazon when I could try on the clothes in my own house and send it back if I don't like it and not get charged for that. So all of that in the comfort of my home, which is great for me because I have a 5 and 1 year old and I have no desire to bring both of them to shopping with me because it wouldn't make any sense. I wouldn't get anything anyway. So, that they customize the experience. And I love that. I think to think that they started with books and now they're like, where they are today is just amazing to me.
Speaking of books, what book would you recommend and why?
I read a lot. I read a few books a month. Okay, top 5 books that have completely just changed my life. Definitely the Bible. I read the Bible every day. Second book would be Think and Grow Rich by Napoleon Hill. Third book would be for finances, getting out of debt and changing your life financially and getting control of your money. The Total Money Makeover by Dave Ramsey. I love The Millionaire Next Door by Thomas Stanley. Gets into how millionaires think, what they spend their money on. The Richest Man in Babylon. I think that's what it is. Actually, no, instead of that one, Robert Kiyosaki's book. Just slipped my mind. But his most famous book.
Rich Dad, Poor Dad?
That's it. That was a book that changed my life. Oh, and one more, The 4-Hour Workweek by Tim Ferriss.
It's interesting. I do have all 5 of the ones you named, and the last one I have read it. So okay. That was awesome.
They're all good books. Those are all mystery makers.
Shondell, what problem exists in the world today that you would like to solve?
Oh, you're hitting me with some good questions. I think we need to love more. I think we need to be more understanding. I think we've moved to a society where we're about self instead of about us. And I think if we express more love to one another, I think we can make some serious things happen. I think that we've moved so far apart and moved into this individual mindset versus, all of us mindset. I think that's harming us more than it is helping.
Advice you wish you had followed.
Advice I wish I had followed. I don't know if there's advice that I wish I had followed. I was always such a good girl. I wasn't really I never rebelled. I always listened to my mom. I always was good. I would say the most rebellious thing was left my family and moved to Atlanta. I don't know. That's kind of like a question like, what would you tell your 20-year-old self? Advice I wish I would follow. It's hard to answer that. I think that because I'm a big believer in where I am right now is where I'm supposed to be. The hard times, the stumbling blocks all prepared me for what I'm doing right now, for where I am right now, for my mindset, for the relationships I have right now. I think, what you go through is preparation. I don't have any major regrets. I'm a risk taker in terms of going after what I want. I just set goals and make it happen. So I can't think of anything right now that I could say, I wish I necessarily would have won out or advice I should have taken that I didn't.
Speaking of risk, talk about the worst moment in business and what was your takeaway?
The worst moment in business was when we first started. You just don't know what you don't know. And we had one client that was, it was our largest client. That one client was pretty much paying us more than my full-time job. Like, it was a huge client. We were working with them for probably about a year, and I had some writers at the time. And one day they just contacted me and I didn't sign a non-disclosure with them or anything. They didn't ask me to, so I didn't. And one day just out of the blue, they contacted me and asked us to sign a non-disclosure. And I thought that was kind of weird because we had been writing for them for a year up to that point. We had, I was so exposed to all of their insights and everything. So anyways, I signed it, had nothing. They just said that, they were just making some changes and wanted vendors and so forth to sign it. So I said, yeah, whatever. It's not a big deal. And I signed that. And the next day they stopped sending us business. I didn't know why they stopped sending us business. And I had a friend that worked in the company at the time, and I had asked her, we're not getting any business from you guys anymore. And she said, because they found out that we approached one of their clients. And I said, I've never approached one of their clients. Well, I later found out that one of our writers went after one of their clients and was trying to steal the business from them. And so we lost that client. Long story short, we lost that client. But it was such a huge lesson because that's when I started to get my ducks in a row. And I obviously got a lawyer and created a non-compete and a non-disclosure contract and had every writer sign that after that. I probably would have eventually did that, but it probably would have taken some time. So that was a huge wake-up call. And even with clients that we take on, we do not take on any clients if they don't sign an agreement, and we do not take on any staff if they don't sign our contract. So that's just a way that, we try to protect ourselves and protect our customers at the end of the day. Because I'm really all about, doing the right thing. And that was wrong. And I didn't even know that we did it. At the end of the day, she represented my brand. And I didn't even know that was being done. So it was a hard lesson, but a good lesson to learn to get your contracts in place.
Talk about your top 2 influencers in your life and what lessons did they teach you?
Top 2, my mom is definitely a top influencer in my life. And she taught me to always put people first. She always taught me, but she taught me it in a way, not so much what she said, but what she did. Like, for example, like I remember one time, there's so many moments, lessons that she taught me, but I remember one time we were in Cuba and they were short-staffed. We were at an all-inclusive resort, and all-inclusive resorts, lunch, dinner, breakfast, all of that is free. Well, it's not free, but you paid for it, but it's all-inclusive. So we went for breakfast, and we ate breakfast and we talked to the staff and stuff like that. And they were just telling us that they were short-staffed. And we left after breakfast, and my mom said, let's go back early for lunch and help them set the tables for the guests. Because they're serving, 300, 400, 500 people in these large dining rooms. And my mom said, let's go back a little early and help them. And the impact that made on the staff was just incredible. It was such a small act of kindness, but the impact that it made was just like the preferential treatment we got after just that one small act. And that was never our intention. It was just, there's a need. Let's just try to fill it. Let's just try to help. But, the chef came out after that to introduce. We got the best tables after that. Everybody said, like, we were treated differently after that. And my mom is very big on that. She said, we didn't do this to get any special treatment, but in doing this, you will always get special treatment. When you put people first, when you try to fill a need and remove yourself, you will always be treated better. You will not have to worry about things when you always try to fill a need, try to serve and figure out ways to constantly serve. And she always taught that. And she still is like that today.
Your second person?
God, I'm trying to be like him more and more every single day. It's hard because he's perfect. But yeah, I just, one of my goals in life is that when people leave my presence, they feel better about themselves because they feel seen, they feel heard. I want them to know that they see the greatness that is in them. So that's a life goal of mine, is so that people feel better when they leave my presence about themselves.
Shondell, speaking of legacy and when it's all said and done, how do you want to be remembered?
I want to be remembered as the impact I made in people's lives, the way I made them feel about themselves when they left my presence. That's really what I work on every day. And I work on that by being present in the moment and being fully present, not thinking about the past, not thinking about the future, but being fully present in the conversation that I'm having with you right now. That's what I work on every day.
Speaking of being fully present, how do you be inclusive with your family, your business, your husband, your children? I don't like to use the word balance, but work-life effectiveness. How does that manage for you?
I schedule things in, like I'm a big scheduler, because if I don't schedule things, then I think that something gets neglected. So we schedule dates. Like I go to the gym every single morning because I need to be by myself every single day. I need that for me to operate at my highest level, for me to be a better wife, for me to be a better parent, for me to be a better Shondell. I need to be by myself every single day. So I get up at 4 and I'm at the gym at 5 and I spend that time to reflect, to think, and then to energize and to start my day. So I schedule things into my day so that things get done. And so I'm able to operate at my best self. But my family time gets scheduled. Everything is, we try to keep things organized.
What is the next level up for your business or your brand?
The next level up would be to grow it a little bit more and then sell it. That's the next level up. And then move into other things. We have a few other businesses as well. So yeah, the next chapter would be, we're always, I guess, entrepreneurs. So we're always doing different things, but that would be the next chapter for Varci Media.
Do you want to talk about your other adventures?
Yeah, we do a lot of real estate investing. So I definitely want to get into that a little bit more, dig into that a little bit more. So that would probably be the next chapter after I sell my business. I would get into real estate a little bit more.
Is there a social cause tied to your businesses?
No, there's no, but that is, you're making me think. I love your question. Not that I could think of. I need to probably get back into that because just before I started my business, I did a lot of teaching about personal finance. Like when I was blogging, I also used to teach a lot of personal finance at my church, just helping people in terms of buying property, buying rental property, getting into their first house. That is definitely something that's probably going to tie into the real estate investing because that's another passion of mine. And that would probably be the social cause that I would kind of bring that back to what I used to do before. I don't do a lot of the teaching anymore just because of time, but definitely that would be something I would definitely want to take up again when I have more time for the real estate investing.
What do you need right now that you don't have to move the needle forward in your business?
More customers. More customers. I could always do with more customers.
Shondell, what do you dream about often that you have not done that you would like to do?
We traveled a lot, but I want to travel more. I definitely dream about traveling more and, living in another country for 7-8 months. Like I love here in Georgia and this will always be the home, the base. But, I want to live in Belize for 8 months and, come back here for 4 months out of the year. Like we love traveling, but our traveling has always been, the longest was maybe a month somewhere. I want to extend that and stay somewhere for, a year or 6-7 months and then come back. So that's something I think about often.
What is something that we as consumers should know about your industry that we don't know?
That there's so much information that's inside of financial institutions to help people, to help them, live their best financial life. A lot of times that information doesn't get out to their ideal customer simply because they're not in front of their ideal customer. So that is something that a lot of people probably don't know. I think that, first-time home buyers and people who are interested in buying a car oftentimes don't necessarily go to a bank to get that information. They'll get that information online and not necessarily from a bank online, but from people who are just online that have bought houses or have purchased things before. They're getting the advice from them instead of the actual people that can provide them with the loans and the mortgages to get that.
Speaking of that, Shondell, it's kind of like a disconnect or a gap when you're talking about African Americans and finances and the bank and getting your credit scores. And I'm not saying all, so I don't want people to say I'm boxing everyone in. But when you talk about from a consumer standpoint in the banking industry, where should they start and what questions should they ask? Because when you ask great questions, you get better results.
Absolutely. I think it depends on what it is you're wanting. I mean, if you're wanting to get into your first house, then you want to ask questions like, what does your minimum beacon score have to be? What does your minimum down payment have to be? Based on who you are, if you're a veteran, you get a little bit more benefit. So it really comes down to what it is you're looking for, but ask questions that are going to help you get to where it is you want to go. if you want to buy a 4 or 5 bedroom, how could you get in there? How much does that cost? What does my income have to be to get in there? If my income's not high enough, can I partner with somebody else that has an income and we can put our incomes together and get that? How much money do I have to save to get into that? So always don't ever focus on the problem. Always focus on what you want and then look for ways to get it. I think sometimes there's so much focus on what you don't have instead of what it is you want and then looking for ways to get it. There's always ways to get what you want. Always. If you're always focused on the problem, you're going to come up with excuses on why you can't get what you want. So just focus on what you want and then find people who are already there. Find people who already have what it is you want and ask them what they did to get it. There's nothing new. There really is nothing new. Whatever it is you want, someone else already has it or has already done it. Learn from them and ask questions. To me, there's never a dumb question, right? What may be a dumb question to you may be, I didn't even know that. So don't be afraid to ask questions. Everything is accessible in this day and age online.
Talk about self-care. What does self-care look like for Shondell?
Self-care for me is spending quality time with myself and spending quality time with friends. Because I'm with my husband and kids every day and I need the break. Like I said, I have to be by myself every single day. So I'm at the gym 5 days a week. And again, that just helps me to operate at my highest level. And then I make time for friends. I make time to, we'll go get our nails done. I'll go get my hair done, just, girly stuff. And, that's self-care for me is taking that time every single day for myself and then having quality relationships with friends and love.
You talked about going to the gym. Now, what form of exercise did you do during COVID-19? I'm assuming your gym was shut down.
Yes, it's been open for a while now. Georgia, I think, was the shortest. They were closed for the shortest amount of time. And I didn't go back to the gym right away because, I've got babies and, I obviously don't want them to get sick. But I did at-home workouts. All of us did it, actually. We just did at-home workouts. We did these 7-minute workouts. And then we go for walks all the time. Like I said, I have a 1-year-old, so we always bring them for walks. Bike riding, things like that. So we did all of that. We still do that, but that's just more on the weekends. We were doing that every single day when the pandemic first hit. And so we're going to get into hiking again. We love hiking, but my 1-year-old, he's kind of heavy, so my husband's going to have to carry him. But we're going to probably get into, because he's walking now, so we'll probably get into hiking. We used to do a lot of that before my son was born. So anything outdoor, we're very outdoorsy. And that's on top of me going to the gym. The gym is really not for physical fitness for me. I go to the gym to be by myself. So if the physical fitness is great, that's not the main reason why I go to the gym. But at the gym, I lift weights and I play basketball.
So gym is your therapy.
Yes, it is. Because I've been working out for so long. So I'm where I want to be physically. So I'm not, going to the gym is really just my time to think and reflect. And I do that very well when I'm working out.
Talk about maintaining a healthy lifestyle. What advice would you give?
I think a lot of maintaining a healthy lifestyle comes from your mind. I think the healthiest lifestyle you can maintain is in your mind because your body will just follow that. And that is just from, what you feed your mind, what you're watching, what you're reading, what you're listening to, who you're listening to, who you're watching. Those are things that all important because it affects you in some way, shape, or form. So just trying to control, what goes in is what I do to maintain a healthy lifestyle mentally. Physically, like I said, I go to the gym. I eat 4 to 5 fruits every day. That's my breakfast. For breakfast, I eat about 4 to 5 fruits a day. And that just fuels me and helps me to, function better.
Is there anything that is keeping you up at night?
Not really. I sleep pretty well. Sometimes I go to bed with my kids because I'm up at 4. So sometimes I go to bed early. You know what? I really try to, because stressing and worrying is not going to change anything. So I really try to get my worries and my cares to God at night. I pray every night and I just kind of, whatever is on my mind or whatever, we all have things that we're dealing with, but I just hand it off to him and I say, you don't sleep, God, you're up all night, so you can take care of this for me and let me get some sleep. But that's what my mom has always taught me, like, don't worry because all it's going to do is stress you out and you're never productive when you're stressed and worried. You can't be, right? Because your mind is consumed with whatever it is you're thinking about. So, cast all your cares on him and, he'll take care of things. And I live that and I practice that. And I try to teach my kids that.
What is your best discovery?
My best discovery is you get what you give in direct relation. If you want to be loved, you have to love more. If you want better quality relationships, you have to create better quality. So like I've learned that. I think that's my biggest discovery. Like if I lack anything, it's because I'm not giving enough of it. And once I learned that, my life changed.
What is your biggest achievement so far in business and or life?
Retiring my mom. Yeah, I retired her in 2011. I wanted to do that since I was 12. So it took a long time. I told her when I was 12 I was going to retire her, and I did 2011. And that's my biggest accomplishment, honestly. That her face when I told her that, she doesn't have to work anymore was just that. I still remember that. I get goosebumps because she's a single mother, and, raising us and, doing everything she did for us. It was an honor. It was a privilege to be able to do that. And I promised myself I wouldn't move to Atlanta until I retired. That was because I always knew I wanted to live here, but I made that promise. I will not leave until I retire her. And money's no longer a concern for her. She doesn't have to worry about money anymore. That was a huge, goal of mine since I was 12.
What was your biggest challenge being an entrepreneur?
Biggest challenge I would say is developing mental stamina. The amount of rejection that comes with being a business owner is unreal. And just developing that mental toughness and that mental strength took me and I'm still working on it. Like it's still, but I would say that is just, not feeding your doubts, because you're going to feel like giving up, but not eating that, just knowing that you've got to keep going. It doesn't matter. Like you may get 1,000 no's before you get one yes, but that one yes will be better than the 1,000 no's that you got. And that I would say was probably one of the biggest challenges. Over time, as I continue to practice that and gaining more mental strength, it gets better. But that's definitely, you've got to be mentally tough to be self-employed.
Shondell, what is a technology tool or a technology platform that is a must-have in managing your business day to day?
Grammarly, I would say Grammarly is huge because we're a writing business. So Grammarly is just an add-on because we have editors that manually edit everything, but there's no perfect human. And so Grammarly is just an add-on that we run everything through just to make sure our editors didn't miss anything. So we send our clients published ready content with no errors. But yeah, Grammarly is good. Copyscape is another tool that we use. These are tools we use every single day. Yeah, those are probably our top two because we're a writing company.
Talk about vetting your staff. What advice would you give in terms of finding really quality workers?
I would say hire slowly and fire quickly. No, I don't fire quickly, but definitely hire slowly. I've been hiring for a while now, so I've gotten a little bit better in terms of vetting. But yeah, just, I think it's more important for people to have the right attitude, and really getting to know people is more important than the skills that they have, in my opinion. Because if somebody is open, like naturally we have to have somebody that knows how to write, and we're dealing with banks, so they have to be financial writers. That's just the basic. But if somebody is like, I would take a writer that, like, if I had two writers and one writer was just spectacular, and I had another writer who was just, average, but the average writer had a way better attitude and was coachable, I would hire the average writer over the spectacular writer who may not be coachable. Because it's so important that somebody fits into our culture and can take feedback, because we're all growing, we're all learning. So, you'll get some people that, they just think they know it all, and that won't work for us at all, because we're always having to grow, and our customers are always Our customers are always, the content that they need could always be changing. So we may have to learn something different. So that's definitely something I look for when I am hiring. How coachable are they? And their attitude is huge. And who are they? I try to get to know them on a personal level before we hire.
What's your why? Why are you doing what you do?
My children. My children are my why. I want them to, we all want our kids to have a better life than we did. But more importantly, I want them to have a clear understanding of who they are and why they're here. And happiness. I want them to be happy. That's so important for me, that they are happy, that they're not doing what I want them to do, but they're doing what they are here to do. That's definitely my why.
If you conducted this interview, Shondell, what is the one question you would have asked yourself? I want you to ask the question and answer it.
You've asked me so many good questions. I don't know if I could think of one now. You've asked me great questions. What would I ask? If you weren't doing this, what would you be doing? And now I got to answer it. If I wasn't doing this, I would be a real estate investor full time for sure.
If someone spent a whole day with you, what would we learn about you that we don't know?
You'd probably be bored. What would you learn about me that you don't know? I love to dance. I dance every day. That's what we do when I pick up the kids. We come home, eat dinner, and then we dance every day. I danced for 7 years when I was younger. I actually wanted to be a dancer when I was younger. So I love music. I love dancing. I just didn't see a career for me in Canada. So I turned to business and marketing. That's how I ended up in business and marketing. But I danced ballet, jazz, and tap when I was a kid for 7 years.
So we have a kindred spirit because I absolutely love, love, love to dance. And one of my 100 dreams is to be on Dancing with the Stars.
Really?
Yes, and to go to Argentina and do the Argentina tango.
Oh, wow. So you've got to make that happen. Argentina might be a bit easier, but you still gotta work to make both of those happen. That's awesome. Yeah, I love dancing too. I absolutely, it just, music I think brings us together.
Absolutely. Tell us one of the most vital, life-changing pieces of advice that you could possibly share with our audience.
That things are not always in your control, but you've got to be able to adapt and you've got to be able to change because, we all set goals for ourselves, but the path is never straight. There's always, it's always, twisting and turning. And I think it's so easy to get off that path, but I would just say, you've got to be able to just, I don't really like the saying roll with the punches, but adapt and change to what's happening. But when I say adapt and change, I don't mean adapt and change who you are. I mean, adapt and change your strategies, your techniques, always still being true to who you are as a person.
How do you feel about the person you have become?
I think I'm constantly growing and I'm constantly learning. I do a lot of self-development because I always want to be better. So I think where I am now, I'm very proud of, just because I've done a lot of inner work, but I'm still not where I want to be. Like I said, my life goal is so that when people leave my presence, they feel better about themselves. And I don't think I'm 100% there yet. And that's something that I work on every single day. How can I make your life better? How could I contribute to what it is you're doing? And that is something that I'm working on. And that's a life goal of mine.
We've come to the part of our interview. It's called Fun Facts Lightning Round. I'm going to ask you a series of questions, and I'd like you to give me very quick answers. If there's something you desire not to answer, feel free to say pass. Are you ready for the Fun Facts Lightning Round?
I am.
The last movie you saw?
The last movie I saw, Coming to America, Eddie Murphy. I've seen that like 100 times.
You relax doing what?
Reading.
Your favorite singer or rapper?
Okay, I have a favorite group, Earth, Wind, and Fire.
Your favorite dance song?
Right now, that changes. Right now, it's School in Life by Beyonce.
What food you eat every week, no matter what?
Food.
Your favorite month?
Of course, my birthday month, September.
Work out or hit the couch?
Oh, absolutely work out. If I could be at the gym all day, I would be there all day.
Your first job?
My first job was delivering newspapers when I was 12. Started working when I was 12.
Shondell, thank you so much for joining us on Black Entrepreneur Experience Podcast. Before we let you go, why don't you share with our audience the best way for them to connect with you and to do business with your company?
Yeah, I'm on LinkedIn every day. So LinkedIn is probably the best way to reach me. My handle is Shondell Varcianna. And I'm on Facebook as well, but LinkedIn more often because my ideal customer is on LinkedIn. So I'm there all the time. You could also reach me on my website, varcimedia.com, VARCI media.com.
Thank you. That's a wrap.
Thank you so much.
Thank you for listening and subscribing to Black Entrepreneur Experience. We would love for you to leave a review and rating on iTunes and share with your friends. For show notes and more episodes, go to www.beepodcast.com. Join us next Wednesday, and remember, green is the new black. So keep your bank accounts and your business in the black.